I want to begin by just making some acknowledgments. I want to acknowledge that people are struggling right now. I want to acknowledge that they're afraid. I want to acknowledge that across the country there is a deep uncertainty about the future direction of not just our economy, but our actual sovereignty. And for a lot of people, for many of those people who have had the comfort of living never having to think about what it's like to be under attack, I have this to say to you, that here in Hamilton Centre, this is actually not new. That if you look at the existential threat that is the fascist Donald Trump, that we have watched that regime around the world unleash unthinkable violence, and now they're returning back to this continent to turn their attention to us. And so in this moment, we're seeing a unity. We're seeing people finally rejecting the politics of far-right populism, wrapping themselves in the flag. And indeed, many of those same people, while at the very same time that our democratic institutions are under attack, are also participating in a form of an attack on our democratic institutions. They're saying that this election needs to be a coronation. They're suggesting through headlines that you should be so afraid that you ought not vote your conscience because you have to pick the lesser of two evils, when we say, why pick evil at all? Yeah. And it is our proximity to the United States of America that was the first step towards some of the greatest social and economic upheaval right here in Hamilton Centre when the first form of NAFTA came. That many people thought our jobs were going to be shipped overseas, but no, they weren't. Many of our good union benefits paying jobs were shipped down to states like Tennessee, Mississippi, Georgia. Why? Because they didn't have the strength of organized labor to fight back, because they didn't have the types of regulations for environmental controls. Because for far too long, with our economy being intrinsically linked with the states, many of our operations became a branch plant to American corporations anyways. And so what is it that we see in this moment right now, this knee-jerk, that when they revisit the so-called deal, that it's the workers they want to put on the chopping block first, that it is the workers' salaries, the retirees, their benefits and pensions that they want to cut first. And for many people who have had the privilege to live without having their jobs, their livelihoods under attack, this is going to feel new for them. But as you know the history of this city, it is not new here in Hamilton Centre. We have been here before, we have fought back, and we have won, and we're going to do it again. There are those who would seek to reduce this election to simply two choices. Friends and neighbors, we are not in an American congressional system. We have within the beauty of our system a Westminster system that allows for multiple perspectives to be heard, that allows for working class voices to be present, that allows for Canada's only Labour Party, just like in this last session, to use our power to deliver on the critical need for dental care. You know, in this city, your smile is a direct indication of your class. And you know as soon as somebody smiles whether or not they have a job good enough to cover the benefits that would fix their teeth. And if you've ever had to go without dental care, if you've ever had that nagging toothache for far too long, you would know that your dignity should never be tied to your place of employment. Because we believe in this country that everybody deserves to have access to world-class universal health care. And when these branch plants, when they play when these branch plants, when they play with bankruptcy, like they did with CCAA, where they want to pull up stakes and move their factories or the book of business down to the south like they did with Hamilton Specialty Bar. That the workers who gave their lives to those factories, who traded their wages for benefits and pensions, got robbed by a system and two parties in government, both liberals and conservatives, who refused to stand up for working class people. Shame! Now I say this as a warning, because this city, in fact this neighborhood, Hamilton, it is the canary in the coal mine, and we've been here before. So we know what it's like to look down and stare down neo-Nazis. We know what it's like to fight back against the pernicious and insatiable greed of corporations. And I'm going to tell you this. The first time I came toe-to-toe with a neo-Nazi, I was 12 years old. It was in the 90s. And I've been reflecting on that. 12 years old, walking through Jackson Square, hearing them behind me call me unspeakable things. Because at that time, we saw what happened to the economy, and we knew that the economic decline was going to result in a right-wing populism that pits working class against working class, neighbor against neighbor. And as I was walking through that mall, my older brother, he had the courage to intervene, 16 years old. And these two grown men, I'll never forget them. Red suspenders, white shirt, Doc Martens, white laces, bald heads. And my brother intervened, and for that intervention, he was jumped. But he made a choice at that time. He made a choice that the temporary physical pain would be far less than the shame of watching and doing nothing. And as a young child, I remember looking around, and I remember seeing the faces of the spectators who stood by and did nothing. So in this moment of staring down fascism, you have to ask yourself, to those that would seek to put their names forward to represent this community and all of our beauty and vulnerabilities, you have to ask yourself, where have you been? And in this room, this right here is the answer to far-right populism and economic turmoil in this country. That the fear that becomes hate, and the hate that becomes fascism, requires you to feel alone and afraid, requires you to hate your neighbor, requires you to only think about yourself. But right here in this room, this is the solution to isolation. It's solidarity. This is the solution to feeling powerless. It's about taking your power back and taking it to the streets and going door to door, street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood, making those calls, talking to your neighbor. Not just about what's wrong with this country, but what this country could be. Now, as a father, the most sacred time I have starts around 8 o'clock. It's bedtime. And there's a negotiation for just 5 more minutes of, watching football on YouTube, or I say, come on, son, there's a bit of arbitration. We go up the stairs. But if you're a parent, you know that at that time when you're reading those stories to your children, you want to try to imbue in them the types of values and characters that you want to see them grow up in, and you want to create a compelling alternative for the world that you can see them live in. That's the moment that we're in right now. So when people ask us, what is our purpose? Why are we here? We're not just here for ourselves. We're not just here for our self-interests. We're not even here for this present moment in time. Because just like was said earlier, This election isn't just going to be about now, it is going to be about the future of this country. And this is what I know to be true. That I can't tell you what's going to happen on April 28th, but I can tell you what's going to happen on April 29th. That the job right now is to get out there and overcome the fear and uncertainty. The job is to have those difficult conversations with your friends and family who feel so afraid that they need to be scared into a two-party choice. Polyev on one hand saying Canada's broken, and Mark Carney coming back on his white horse at demanding a coronation, reducing our democracy. But I have to tell you something. This is what I know to be true. I don't have the answers for what happens on April 28th, but this is what I do know to be true, that when you elect more new Democrats, the material conditions of Canadians from coast to coast to coast are improved, that the working class values of cities like Hamilton Centre, Winnipeg Centre, all across this country are improved. And I also know this to be true, that absent of our voices, that when I stand proudly in the House of Commons wearing kufiyeh demanding the end to a genocide, that I know that if I'm not there, that no one's going to make that stand. And I know that when I'm on a picket line and I ask them where have they been, that no matter what those workers think they are, they might identify as conservative, but on that day of the lockout, they're a worker. And they're a part of the working class. And there ain't another damn party in this country that'll stand shoulder to shoulder with them when times get tough. We're not just fighting for our lives, we're fighting for our livelihoods. That's what's at stake. So to those people who would seek to visit this city in the time and ride whatever wave that they think they're going to find in populism, I'm here to tell you this. You're not going to find that shit here.
Yeah!
Now here's the ask. This is not about one person. Everybody's needed, but no one person is necessary. My name happens to be on the ballot, but what I wanted to demonstrate tonight is that this is what democracy looks like. So when I say, show me what democracy looks like, you're gonna say,
this is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is a love, this is a radical love, this is what we're going to do after this, okay? We are going to organize now. We've done the socializing. You all have name tags. Your responsibility over these next 10 minutes is to get to know who you are organizing with in this moment. We are going to go into the community, deeply into the community. We're going to speak to people. We're going to ask for their support. We're going to identify, engage, and enroll them into our movement. We are going to build something, continue to build something beautiful right here in Hamilton Centre, and each and every one of you are going to be a part of it. Are you with me?
Yeah!
About for those that are willing to, everyday people, all of you, each and every one of you with the courage to be here for today. For those that are willing to speak on the record about why you're here and why you support this movement, we're going to invite you directly after this to go over to our campaign office. David is going to be there. There's going to be an opportunity for you all to do very short interventions. We are going to flood Hamilton Centre with a type of radical love that extends beyond our neighbors and the people we know and beyond our family. It's going to extend out to those people who are living in tents right now. It's going to extend out to those people who are waiting at food banks. It's going to extend out to those people who don't know if they're going to have a job tomorrow. It's going to extend to the young, to the old. It's going to extend to every single person in Hamilton Centre. Are you with us? I just want to close with this. I spoke about my son. None of this would be possible without the support. Oh, but here we go. I'm going to testify, and I might cry. It's all right, brother. None of this would be possible without the support of my incredible spouse. The sacrifice that we take in this work. You'd never know the sacrifice without a strong partner. My mom who's here, my dad, my family, my office, my team. I know people say this stuff, but like, I don't care who we're up against. I would take my team against any single team in this country. I would take this coalition right here in this room against any deep pocket corporate interest. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I love you. Even if I don't know you, I love you with everything I have. Let's make sure we get a chance to meet awesome people. Let's get out there and let's show this city what democracy looks like. Thank you so much, comrades. They've been saying all this stuff about elbows up, but here's the thing in Hamilton, we're not just putting our elbows up because we've never had them down. So this is what we're ready for. Let's do it. Let's go knock some doors and let's win this Friday.